four sixes. So we always like to start off our profiles with this image, which I will have Danny explain.
Well, this is the house image, and it's been a staple in human design teaching. Whenever we teach, we use this as a metaphor. You can use lots of things. And this is the profile lines discussing the same way a house is built up. The first line is down on the foundation of the floor. It's that guy reading the newspaper, and he's always studying, investigating. And the second line of a profile is always on the second floor, sort of window, just looking out, and or not even looking out, really. It's just a natural in its own habitat, and others look in on it. It's a projection field. And that third line going up the staircase, they're mutative. They're always winding around a staircase, bumping into this and creating everything to get mixed up, essentially, to mix things up. And then we get to the fourth line. They're the foundation of the second story. And so this is where we begin our journey today, is this fourth line is discussing and living out this nature of externalizing the foundation that was made by the first line. So fourth lines are always here to basically expressively talk and tell their piece and say their thing. And this is married up with, then you move past the fourth line to the fifth line, which is sort of a little bit aloof as it relates to hiding out in their own little space, looking out on everything. And the fifth line is also a projection field. It's universalizing things, and people see it as a saint and a savior and a general and sometimes a heretic. But what happens with this profile is it's the four and the six. So when you get to the sixth line, you're on the roof, this three-stage process. And that roof process is they go up onto the roof at age between 28 and 30, and they become a little bit aloof, a little less personal about every last living thing, and they become more objective rather than subjective. And they're just sort of going to school up there, looking out at everything, being able to look out over everything and hold this image that they're waiting for perfection. So the four and the sixes, I'm ready to externalize what can become the role model of perfection. The whole goal for a 4-6 is to live out the living virtues and natures of what is their design. Live that out, you become that externalizing role model.
Perfect. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you,
So
Lana.
we have the core traits. So they are usually the central influencer in their social groups, always directing and organizing. And the key value of natural readers leadership fosters togetherness. So their leadership brings people together. That's their style. And they have a strong emphasis on family and friends and giving them importance. And they lead with warmth and magnanimity and wisdom. And they have to learn to balance the wisdom of their head and their heart. Danny, anything to add?
Yeah, by head and heart, you do that spiritually through whatever you feel head and heart really is. And then you do that literally through your body graph and balance out the noise of the mind versus the correctness of your form. One is correct, one is the thing that is only there to help.
Perfect. Okay. Learning and authority. So, Danny, would you like me to do this or would you like to try?
Strengths, this learning and authority of this 4-6 profile, strengths lie in leading with a type of empathy that really they picked up from the first line investigation of everything. But it's that rather than control. If you find yourself trying to control too much, you see you run askew of your nature. They must learn and trust. Trust becomes wicked important, and rely on the other and find those others they can rely on, easing up on that grip of control. The challenge is to open up, open yourself up to overcome this fear of rejection that can show up. Again, a throwback from the first line, but still showing up in the fourth line way. Because fourth lines, it's hard. We can't break them. We don't want to break a fourth line. We just want to gently nudge them so they can be nervous about that. Life's lessons include this using this vulnerability to strengthen their connections. So basically, the right connections are the ones that see that you're being yourself and it's not a vulnerable place. And then authority ultimately emerges from the joy and what ends up being this incredible optimism and sharing that's not out of fear or control or anything of that nature, It's just out of you living out your design. As soon as you live out your design, follow your strategy and authority, all this stuff falls right into place. And we could write 100 more sentences in here and it would still all fall right into place without you having to know it. And
Right?
yeah.
Beautiful. So, challenges and empowerment. We already mentioned this, they kind of struggle between what's in their heart and what they are logically thinking about in their head. Also, between trusting and trying to control things to go a certain way. Their early life is filled with lots of trials and errors, and they need to learn from relationships. And they need to let go of perfectionism. This is something a line six tends to want to do: is have things be perfect, and embrace making mistakes. Their empowerment comes from recognizing that life does support them, and it happens when they relinquish control, and they need to shift to a more trusting and relaxed leadership style, and that tends to happen after the age of 50 once they've come off the roof.
The only thing I would add is, as it relates to that perfectionism, it speaks to the optimism, and you do seek a certain perfectionness. So, well, if you find perfectionism getting in your way, sure, slow that down. But you are supposed to be a certain amount of that. Allow it and have fun with it. As soon as it stops being fun or you don't feel like it, there's your chemistry telling you it's not for you. Your mind does not need to make a decision after that.
Perfect. And to conclude, Danny, you can take this one.
Excuse me. Life journey. So the conclusion, life journey marked by transition, but three-part transition from the personal trials, the trial and error, to societal role model. And it's a three-part process. Um, the importance of maintaining this exceptional relationships. Don't forget, you're the friendly networker. So you're looking for the right influence, and to be of the right influence, this will give your life the right quality. Empowers others through developing these networks. These networks become wicked important. And remember, intimacy for you begins essentially at the first time you shake hands. There's a form of it showing up. So allow that. And if it doesn't feel right, then there you go. That's true. Later life focuses on externalizing all of this wisdom. That's the whole thing. And it becomes transcendent, the role model. The role model ends up being the living embodiment of what it is to be yourself. Others see that, and then they end up coming to you for validation of various sorts, and then encouraged to share what they've observed. The observed or the observer is very much one of the themes about the truths and life's uniqueness without seeking followers. That's the whole thing. The uniqueness happens without seeking followers to say, hey, come be unique like me. Because, of course, that actually isn't even a wise thing to do. That's our
Wonderful.